Hello guys, there was some technical glitch. Can anyone tell me if the sound is okay now? So we will just again start the session. Okay, I hope it is coming properly. So now I will again start the session. So ये जो particular video है, it is regarding strategy for IFS interview. और डेफिनेटली सारे एस्पेक्ट्स डील करेंगे, लेकिन मेन जो एजेंडा होगा इस पर्टिकुलर वीडियो का वो आईएफएस का इंटरव्यू की स्ट्रेटजी होगी. सो वी हैव विद अस अनिल मस्के एंड इन 2018 एग्जाम ऑफ आईएफएस जिसका रिजल्ट 19 में निकला था. ही स्कोर्ड 207 मार्क्स, वन ऑफ द हाईएस्ट मार्क्स इन आईएफएस इंटरव्यू. तो डेफिनेटली इस पर्टिकुलर वीडियो में डिस्कस करेंगे कि व्हाट शुड बी द स्ट्रेटजी फॉर प्रिपरेशन फॉर इंटरव्यू, आपकी अप्रोच कैसी होनी चाहिए. और इन्होंने जो इंटरव्यू फेस किया तो पर्सनल कुछ एट्रीब्यूट्स जो पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंसेस थे वो शेयर करेंगे. और एक मेन एजेंडा ये भी होगा कि सीएसए के इंटरव्यू से ओके साउंड इज ओके, और सीएसए के इंटरव्यू से आईएफएस का इंटरव्यू कैसे अलग है. तो स्टार्टिंग में डेफिनेटली जो लोग ये इंटरव्यू के लिए जिनका कॉल आया आईएफएस का रिजल्ट्स जो अभी मेंस का हाल में निकला है, तो डेफिनेटली उनके लिए कांग्रेचुलेशंस. और आपकी स्ट्रेटजी कैसे होनी चाहिए तो डेफिनेटली ये एजेंडा रहेगा. और उससे पहले ये काफी इंपॉर्टेंट है कि इन केस अगर आप सिविल सर्विसेज के भी प्रिपरेशन कर रहे हैं और आपकी टॉप सर्विसेज नहीं मिलती है और आपको यहाँ पे फॉरेस्ट सर्विस मिल रहा है, तो डेफिनेटली यू विल जॉइन फॉरेस्ट सर्विस बिकॉज इट इज एन ऑल इंडिया सर्विस. तो आईएफएस बिकम्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एंड फॉर दैट इंटरव्यू पार्ट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. प्रीलिम्स के बाद सबसे जो इम्पोर्टेंट पड़ा हुआ है ये इंटरव्यू ही है आईएफएस का. सो सबसे पहले अनिल, वेलकम टू दिस चैनल. और सबसे पहले ये डिस्कस कर लेते हैं कि एजेंडा कैसे है कि ये सीएससी इंटरव्यू से या आईएफएस का इंटरव्यू अगर कुछ भी कर रहे हैं, प्रिपरेशन हो चाहे अप्रोच है, कैसे अलग होनी चाहिए, आपका क्या इस पे राय है?
Thank you, Anshuman. So congratulations for all those who are appearing for the IFS Indian Forest Service interview, and again all the best for all the aspirants. So basically, the strategy for the IFS interview is not as such very different from the civil service interview. But certainly you have to prepare the detailed application form with respect to the hot issues of the environment, climate change, and about the forest. So here we are just linking our detailed application form with the issues of environment, forest, and climate change, because as it is the forest interview, so it is expected that they will ask more questions about the environment, forest, and the other climate change related issues. So that will be one aspect I will say ki one of the important part of this interview. So that will be the first thing.
So definitely जैसे इन्होंने कहा आपको क्लियर हो गया होगा कि the approach or the wholesome what you have to prepare that will be different because the main focus here will be the forest, the environment aspects. What you have read in mains or prelims point of view, that you have to again revise and come up with the important aspects that are in the current affairs, like the stubble burning or Delhi pollution problem, Ganga pollution, or different laws with respect to the different aspects of environment like forest. So first we should talk regarding what should be the preparation strategy regarding how you should prepare your DAF for Indian Forest Services interview, because that is very much important as you highlighted that issues related to environment will be there. So what should be your strategy? आपकी क्या strategy थी कि कैसे आपने prepare किया DAF को, या आप viewers को बताना चाहेंगे?
Basically मैंने तो so for example I started with the again so earlier I appeared for the civil service interview. However, this is I got in the very first attempt of the forest service for the forest service. So I started preparation with, like, for example, I have prepared the basic things of the detailed application form, but I focus on the, as I said, the environment related issues. So first, basically they will going to ask you question as many aspirants will be preparing for civil services. So they will ask question why you want to come to the various hot topics and issues with related to the environment for preparation of this. So for example, I will highlight some topics like for example, you have to prepare for the environment versus development debate. So again, while preparing, you have to be a balanced judgment. So you can't go directly the excessive environmentalism or development kind of side. So so this is one topic. Then you have to again prepare for the man versus animal conflict issues. Then now the very hot topic is the forest fire. So you have to prepare for what are the reasons, what will be the solution. Again, some of the issues like what is the impact of climate change on the biodiversity. Again, they may ask question like, what is the significance of biodiversity? So if you see all these issues, then it seems that all the issues are like open-ended issues. So again, it's we find it very easy. But when you are, if someone is going to ask you question in the interview and you have to give answer in 30 seconds, so at that time you have to be very correct with respect to your answer. For example, you have to prepare in a point format. Basically, I feel as I have given that kind of answers. So like for example, if there is a question with regard to the man-animal conflict, and if they are going to ask you like what are the reasons, so you have to list out 4 points. Then what will be the solution? Then you have to list out the 4 or 5 solutions. So these will be the main issues I feel for the environment related issues.
So you want to say that even if you have not prepared beforehand, then that will become difficult. So all
Yes,
these
yes.
15, 20 issues should be, at least you should have thought about those issues. You should have the reasons responsible. You should know what should be the steps taken by the forest department, so that you can, because if you have thought on a wholesome basis, then only you can tell in points
Yes,
that these
yes.
things can be done. First this, second this, third this, fourth this. This can only be done if you have a thorough preparation.
Yes, yes.
So now coming to some of the basic issues or hot issues which are there. So as you highlighted some of them, like development versus environment. Second was with respect to the forest fire. Third, human wildlife conflict. So these are the major issues. And apart from that, certain environmental issues like Delhi pollution or stubble burning problem, Ganga pollution, or the EIA, the environment impact assessment, the changes that have been done recently, that becomes very much important. So, any other
Yeah, so yes,
areas
yes,
which
yes,
you
yes.
want to include?
I want to highlight that while preparing for the forest service, you can categorize the issues in various topics. For example, as I mentioned, like all these issues. Again, you can go for example, you should know the basic facts. Like for example, how many protected areas are there in the country? Like in the protected areas, you should know the wildlife sanctuaries, national park, biosphere reserve. Again, what will the difference between the national park, wildlife sanctuary, and biosphere reserve?
Yes, yes.
So again, that is one important. Second, again, I feel you should know the types of forest. So there are different type of forests as per the as many people may be knowing that there is a champion and set classification. Again, there is a definition given by Forest Survey of India. So that type of a classification you should know. So again, like along with this, the megafauna species. So you should know in some basic with regard to that. For example, lion, the tiger, the elephant. Again, the census, the year for how many senses were there for the tigers, what kind of methodology we use. So these are also important issues. Again, you can categorize issues into the institutions. For example, while giving interview, you should know the basic of the Forest Survey of India, then Forest Research Institute in Dehradun. Again, you should know the basic about the Zoological Survey of India, Botanical Survey of India. So these kinds of organization, you should have some basic knowledge. Again, in terms of the laws are very important for the interviews. So they will going to ask some basic questions with regard to that. So in the context of laws, you should know some 3 to 4 provision of the law, like Indian Forest Act 1927, then Wildlife Protection of 1972. Then we are having the Forest Conservation Act of 1980s, also Environment Protection of, Act 1986, and the most important law I will say they will going to ask is the Forest Right Act 2006. So all these laws one has to prepare for the interview.
And apart from that, these are the definitely aspects that you need to prepare. And along with that, the approach for the interview becomes very much important, because that helps. Because even if you have good knowledge, ample amount of preparation you have done, but definitely if your approach is not justified or up to the mark, you will end up getting lower marks. So, what should be your approach towards interview, especially IFS interview, and towards CSC interview also? What should be your approach? What you have thought of the major things that you want to ingrain, or that should be there in any person approaching an interview?
The basic idea I feel is very like for example, so you are appearing for the interview, so it is not expected that you should have the detailed and the thorough knowledge. So again, I will say it is a kind of a combination of the considerable knowledge of the environment forest and with your personality. So I feel it is a combination of the knowledge and the personality. So while giving the answer, you should have some kind of a basic things in your mind, which I say I have that might be beneficial for me to get the 207 marks in the interview. Like for example, while giving the answer, when they will going to ask you a question, I feel the think and talk strategy will be very helpful. Like if they are asking question, then think for 3-4 seconds and then give answer. So it will
Yeah.
be a concise answer, and again I will say a very well formulated answer. Secondly, I will say important strategy will be prioritize the points while giving the answer. Which point you feel important, you should give the priority, and again listing the points. Third, I feel the important is don't get panic. Means there may be a situation where they will going to ask some kind of a difficult question, then you will land up that now what will the answer, and you will get panic. So if there is no need to get panic, and they may just checking your level of confidence. So these
That is
kinds of
very true.
strategy you have to follow, I think.
And certain questions are like a situational based question. Even you
Yes,
can
yes,
prepare certain questions on man versus animal conflict too. That can be prepared. But such questions demand on the spot thinking. So, what was your strategy?
yes, yes,
Which,
yes.
even if you can share some instances where situational questions were asked, or questions on the spot were asked and you answered on the spot. Can you say some instances of your interview, or you can in general tell what was your approach regarding certain these situational questions?
Yes, Anshuman, you highlighted very important points. So there were three questions for me with regard to the situation kind of a questions, and I feel that is one of the very important part of interview. So they have asked me question with regard to the so I basically came from the Maharashtra, and again in Maharashtra the Vidarbha part. So they asked me that, for example, you are appointed as a DFO in the Gadchiroli district, and so we know that it is a Naxalite affected district. So as a forest officer, how you are going to manage the environment and forest over there, and how you are going to deal with the Naxalism issue, because Naxalism people are getting many revenue from the poaching of the timber and many other important NDFPs from the forest areas. So this was one of the situational question. Second, they had asked me that, for example, you are appointed as a DFO of the Pune city, and we have to increase the forest cover in the urban areas. So what will be your strategy? Because basically we know the basic strategy about the increasing the forest area, but they have asked me particularly about the urban areas. So again, you have to think over there in different manner. Again, there was Andaman Nicobar and Sentinelese tribe killed that particular person. So they asked me that should we ask me, and again expecting some kind of your the balanced judgment, I will say, and the your quick response at that time.
Interview part, there are some because if you are appearing for IFS interview, definitely your mandate, the IFS mandate of IFS is to protect the forest. But one is that it comes in contravention with the development agenda. So one is there, and one is again with respect to the tribal livelihoods. So they also want to check certain aspects, that how much compassionate you are to the issues of the tribal. So, do you think that these issues regarding tribal should be prepared, or if you prepared, so what was your whole line of agenda, what you did, or even the main preparation was sufficient? What do you think about it?
Yes, it's very important. Basically, again, I will say some points with regard to the preparation of interview, like with respect to tribal also. While preparing for the interview, you can use the bottom to top approach, I will say. Like in bottom to top approach, what you can do, you can prepare the basic idea about your taluka place. So for example, in taluka place, you should know the basic type of forest in your area. Then you can prepare for the district, the type of forest, type of flora, fauna. You should know the five name of the trees, scientific name. Then you should know the five fauna from your areas. If there is a particular national park and wildlife sanctuary in your area, then you should know the details when it was established and what kind of issues over there with regard to that. So that can be asked. So again, as the question asked about the tribal, if you see the syllabus of our forest service interview as given in the notification by the UPSC. So they have mentioned that the ability of the social cohesion is
Yeah.
the specific word is mentioned in that. So with regard to that, you have to show the concerns for the marginal section and the tribal section. So again, if you are coming from the some states like the Maharashtra, Odisha, Jharkhand, and Chhattisgarh, and some other states, so you should know the different types of tribe in your area. Then the basic peculiar differences between the tribes. If they are having the major dependence in the NTFs like the minor forest produce, then what kind of regulation is there again, and the status of the Forest Right Act with respect to the various tribes. So what kind of IFR were granted, the community forest rights were granted. So again, they may ask you question that why the Indian Forest Right, the Forest Right Act is not implemented in a full efficient manner. So what will be the hurdles? So this kind of question will be there with respect to the tribals.
Okay, okay. And even you were talking to me some days before that if you look at the syllabus of civil services interview and forest services interview, there was one difference, peculiar difference, because maximum of the things like critical powers of assimilation or social cohesion, leadership, compassion, all are there in both the syllabus. But one with respect to the outdoor activities, especially mentioned in IFS interview syllabus, personality test syllabus. So definitely that has a significant role to play. So I would like
Yes,
to.
yes, yes. I would like to highlight here that if you see the syllabus of civil service interview and the forest service interview, then in the last line there is one line which is different for the both the interviews. That is they are expecting from the candidate. Like for example, in forest service interview, they have mentioned that the candidates should be interested in and they should have the knowledge of topographical sense and the interest of exploring the unknown areas, then the love for the unknown places and the exploration of the such kind of places. So I feel this line is very important. So if we see this line, so in this context, it is expected that you should have the hobby of knowing the many different topographies of India. Like for example, I would say here that you should know the variety of the types of the forest in Himalayan areas, in northeast areas, then in central India, in the south India, in Andaman Nicobar. So that will be the expected, and again your ability to have the curiosity. So they will not going to ask you directly such kind of question, but while giving the answers they may expect your such kind of knowledge and your point while mentioning the answer. So that will be the very important difference in the forest service interview.
सो अलॉन्ग विद डैट अगर आपसे ये पूछा जाए कि दो या तीन चीजें जो आपको लगता है कि आपके वो इंटरव्यू में वो रोल प्ले किया, अगर जनरल हर कोई प्रिपेयर करके जाता है, इवन इफ आई वुड आस्क व्हाट आर दोस टू थ्री थिंग्स व्हिच made you score better in the interview. So what would be two three things if you want to highlight if any as such, or the general things are there?
Yes, yes. I would like to say that the 3 to 4 point may help me to get the score above 200. First is that while giving answer, I feel giving one point or one point of your answer, a unique point, I will say, or different that many other candidate may not give that kind of approach. So try to have one unique point in your answer for the basic question. For example, if there, I will just highlight one example. Like if they are asking you question like what is the impact of climate change, so while giving, we know the impact on the agriculture and many other things like the climate refugees and rise of sea temperature and the melting of snow and all those. But if you are going to mention some peculiar examples, like for example, if there is increase in the temperature, then the green turtles, the eggs of the green turtle will be going to reproduce the only female. So it will going to in the future it will going to extinct the whole species of the green turtle. Or you can say the for example, again there was one example in the newspaper that the pink blossom in the Japan is now flowering in May month, and generally it flowers in the August. So it is because of the climate change. If you are going to use such a kind of a approach or the unique point, then it will be helpful. Secondly, I feel again while giving the case studies, multidimensional approach is very important. So for example, if they ask me question with regard to the Gadchiroli as a DFO, so at that time I said them that I will coordinate with the district collector, then security forces. Again, I will try to gain the trust of the tribal community by having the work with regard to the marketing for the NTFPs, and again education and health related aspect of the tribal people. But over there, I have mentioned one point that while poaching the timber by the Naxalite, we are not able to tap, or we are not able to implement the law over there, because they are directly transferring that timber from the Maharashtra to Telangana, and once it is in Telangana, it is very difficult to apply the law over there. So there was one news with regard to that. Now forest department is creating a DNA data bank of all the trees. So I mentioned in the intro that I will going to have the DNA of all the trees, DNA data bank of all the trees of virtual. They got curious and they asked many things about how the DNA data bank were made and what kind of a status is there in India. So this kind of question they ask, and so I feel this kind of unique point will be very helpful. And again, I will say one more point help me. So along with case studies, they may ask you, they may give you a statement. For example, my panel was the Smita Nagaraj ma'am, And at the last, the ma'am asked me question that there was very famous saying that boss is always right. So ma'am asked me, what do you think about this statement? So I told her. So again, suddenly this kind of question came to me. So I asked ma'am, can I get 10 to 15 seconds to think over it? Ma'am gave me that time. Again, I thought over it. I gave answer. Again, ma'am asked me a question that what is the importance of the dissent, because I am not agree with the boss. So what is the value of the dissent? Then again, ma'am asked me if all the rules and regulations were correct. Still, don't you find that boss will be a wrong? So again, so such a kind of things may test your ability to give the answer in a well thought manner and with respect to the constitutions and all the laws of the nation. So I feel these kind of questions help me to get the more score. Again, as I would like to share my one experience here, that it is when my interview was started at that time, it was started on a bad note, I will say. For example, I have completed my masters in the political science, and ma'am just started with Anil. So you completed EMA from the IGNU, or you're a regular student of the university? So I told ma'am that I have completed it as a distance education. So ma'am immediately kind of gave me a sarcastic reply that so this distance education is a kind of not that kind of a good thing, because you are not going to gain thorough learning from that. So she asked me what is the advantage of distance education, what are the disadvantages. Then ma'am started contestation of the that I told her some advantages, but ma'am were contesting the advantages. So initially I lost my confidence, and I feel that now I am not going to get marks. But again, then mom just changed the topic that as there was one hobby of mine is watching the contemporary Hindi and Marathi cinema. So ma'am asked me, can you tell me some movies with respect to the tribals and related with the Naxalism issue? So at that time the Newton was released. So I told her Newton. Then ma'am just pass on to the next member. So then member started with some other issues, like member was saying, so you are masters in EMA. So he started with the political science only. Then he started with international relation. Then he asked me some about the Vidarbha Marathwada differences, what kind of forests were there in that part. Then the next member started with biopiracy. What are the laws to tackle biopiracy? What is the biological the act? Then again this again that member came to again on EMA. So they were continuously in my interview. They are just saying you are masters, you are masters. So at that time I'm feeling that the kind of a nervousness. But I am at the same time, when they are asking me question, I am giving a proper well thought answer. So I feel while giving the interview, you have to maintain your level of confidence, because they may just check your both the knowledge and your personality. So that all these point will be you have to keep in mind while giving an interview for the forest service.
That was definitely a nice interview from your side. कुछ questions देख लेते हैं those who
Yes,
have
yes.
asked. और सर प्रीलिम्स टिप्स डिस्कस कर लेंगे अभी, उससे पहले अगर इंटरव्यू से रिलेटेड कुछ हो.
Yes, background.
सर आपका बैकग्राउंड.
Yes, it's important. My background is that I completed my graduation in mechanical engineering. Then I started preparing for civil services, and then in between that I prepared for the I completed my post graduation in political science and international relation. Before the forest service interview, I gave 3 civil service interviews, and I could not make in the civil services, and then I appeared for the forest service examination. I prepared for the forest service examination after the civil service mains. So within 1.5 month, I prepared for the forest service mains, and I then the interview call, and I appeared for the interviews. So here I would again, as this topic came, I would like to say that many people may think that we just prepared in a 2 month and 1 month, so they may neglect the preparation for the interviews. But I will say this is the one of the last weapon in your hand. If because you are not you haven't prepared a kind of a many detailed and in-depth things. If you are going to prepare for the basic things, and if you are going to give answer in a in thoughtful way, then you may score above the 200. So and that 200 score will be helpful to get the rank in the forest service, and it is one of the all India service. So you have to just don't neglect the things, because it will be very helpful to get into the service.
Means even if you are just have average performance in mains, but you perform well in the
Yes,
interview,
yes,
maximum chances are that you will be into the list.
yes.
What kind of questions can be asked from the forestry in the interview? Um, uh, did any question come from the forestry optional in your interview?
Yes, basic questions. There were three questions. They asked me the definitions, like what is the silviculture. Then they asked me champion and set classification. Again, one question is that tell us different minor forest produce.
Okay.
And again, one question is that what is the change in the 1927 Act with respect to the bamboo. So these kinds of questions were asked.
So at least you should have the knowledge about the acts,
Yes,
and
yes.
apart from that, the basic areas that you would be knowing about silviculture system, the basic things. At least go through, dedicate a one day. That would be at max. More than that is not required for forestry ops. But you should be ready with the basic steps that you would have read. So can prelims be cracked with command over polity? We will come to the prelims part. Do they ask about the tribals and the forest ruling people? So definitely, he talked about what questions were there, and definitely tribal part has to be
Again,
covered well.
so as this forest dwelling people questions asked, so I would like to say that try to prepare in the context of Forest Conservation Act 1980s versus Forest Right Act 2006, because there is a contradiction, or there is a contestation that the Forest Right Act came under the MOTA, that is the Minister of Tribal Affairs, and Forest Conservation Act come under the Minister of Environment, Forest, Climate Change. So there is a need of coordination, because many times it happens that DFO and district magistrate may have different views with respect to the rights and conservation of forest. So prepared on that line, try to have the balanced judgment with respect to that.
Books for forestry optional, we will discuss in different videos, because that will be apart from the agenda of this video. Sir, please mention the source where we can find the solutions of forestry optional. So we will have one video with respect to forestry. And yeah, civils versus forest interview. What difference did you notice? So, any particular thing that you would like to highlight?
I would say many. So basic as I mentioned, different issues. So and that kind of question came to me, but I will say my overall interview, 60% interview is on like just like a civil service interview, and only 30-40% questions are like basically with respect to the forest. And again, with respect to forest means like the tribal issues, like the climate change impact, the how you are going to increase the forest area, how you are going to deal with the naxalism and forest conservation, biopiracy. So again, basic questions were asked, not very different questions. This kind of question can be asked in the civil service interview.
Yes.
So not as such very big difference.
And apart from that, about the medical test, I will cover in a different video about the medical test and the walking test. Civils versus forest interview that I have covered. Tell me about prelims strategy, or sir, tell me about how to deal with prelims. So now everyone is. Acha, how did you handle stress situation in interview? So that is with respect to interview. So
Yeah,
what
it
was
is. It is very obvious that when we are going to enter into the for the interview, so it will be a little bit stressful situation. But again, I will say it is a natural to have the some kind of anxiety while before the starting of the interview. So again, I will say while just after the wishing to the member, try to get settled in a very a little time, I will say. So if I would like to say that the first 1 to 2 question will be just like that kind of question will be for just to keep you calm and balanced, and so that will be the expected. It will be expected from the member. So don't get panic, and try to have whatever you are prepared. Just keep the confidence and try to give the answer in that way. Just keep the 3 to 4 things in mind. Just as I said, don't give the sudden reply, so they may think that you are panic and you are giving an unthoughtful answer. So I will say just think for a 3-4 second and then talk. So that will be one very important point that will going to reduce your stress and will going to give a more good quality answer. So I will say this is very important, think and talk kind of a strategy.
So almost everything has been roughly covered. If
This
you have any,
mock,
is anyone asking about mock? So you can definitely,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Ah,
Just before that, tell me that what were your optionals and what was your hobby? So that has been asked.
yes, yes, yes. My optionals were agriculture engineering and the forestry, and my hobbies are my hobby is that watching the contemporary Hindi and Marathi cinema. So and reading rural literature, but there was no question on the rural literature. They just asked me the name of the movie and the what is the theme of the movie. So that was one question.
And one is my optional is agricultural engineering. Sir, in what depth I need to prepare it for the interview?
No need to prepare as such in depth. Just you should know the basic ideas. Like there are different topics, like for example, watershed. So they may ask you about the watershed. They may ask you about the basics of the engineering. Like in the agriculture engineering, we are having the IC engine topic. So that the just go through just go once through the optionals. Just read the basic definition. There is no need to go into the depth. Because there was not many questions with regard to the agriculture engineering in the interviews.
About background, to look, we have covered books for economy and okay. So everything now in the chat box has been covered, and almost everything from hobby to the approach to what should be, how you should prepare that has been covered. So likely we should now wrap up the session. And apart from that, end करने से पहले definitely सर का इंटरव्यू फिर इस साल फिर से सिल्स का इंटरव्यू दे रहे हैं तो डेफिनेटली आई वुड नॉट लाइक टू टेक मच ऑफ द टाइम and I wish him all the best for that. And definitely after the interview, sir, कुछ थोड़ा free होंगे तो उसके बाद you can ask him or even I will provide his Twitter or Instagram or social media link in my description box for this video.
I will
So
also share my transcript in the.
okay, okay. I will also share that transcript in the description box of this video, so you can get a look at it. That will be definitely beneficial for you. And ओके, तो यहाँ पे एंड करते हैं कुछ अगर प्रीलिम्स से रिलेटेड एक क्वेश्चन लेके यहाँ पे एंड करते हैं. So even now we have 3 months for prelims. So what should be the strategy regarding how much time to focus on prelims or how much on means? So what you would have done if you would have been in that stage?
I feel if you are going for the first time for the civil service examination, then I will say that go for 3 months will be. You can start from the right now for the prelims examination, and if you are earlier appeared for the examination and if you have cracked the prelims examination, then 2 month and 2 month or 1.5 month will be sufficient for prelims here. So for the first timer and the other people who haven't qualified the prelims examination, I will say start the you have keep the limit with respect to the books, standard books. So read all the books, then so try to solve the questions based on the different sections of the syllabus. Whatever you have read, like different topics like polity, geography, history, then try to solve some questions, question paper like different coachings. Then again, after that, again try to revise whatever you have read. Then again try to solve the question paper. Again revise. Try to solve the comprehensive paper. So I will say that minimum 3 revision will be required, will be very helpful for qualifying the prelim examination and solving 60 question paper. So 50-60 questions from different question paper from different coachings, and the 3 times revision I will say important for the prelims.
And as per you, what should be the ideal attempt in terms of number of questions? Because after 40-45 questions, it becomes that you cannot solve those questions directly with the help of knowledge. So, what would you say that how much questions should be attempted in prelims? For two cases, if you are only preparing for civil services prelims, or second case, if you want to crack both CSC and IFS prelims.
I will say, as per my experience, as everyone has its own strategy. I will say attempting above 90 is very essential for qualifying the examination, and again, not only essential, but it increases your chance of qualifying the prelim examination. So try to attempt more than 90 questions in the examination. As we know that we may have the knowledge of the 40 and 45 questions in the exam, But again, you have to take a calculated risk over there. That is, if you are going to know the two options, that they are, you are in the two option, then you are going to get confused between the two. Then think over it. Try to have some kind of a, your subconsciousness maybe work over there. So attempting above 90, I will say, essential for qualifying the forest service prelims. So it will not be I will say, it is not a like a general strategy, the general strategy, but try to solve the question paper, many question paper, and through that you can going to know that what kind of a question level of questions you have to attempt for qualifying the examination.
So you said that it will vary from person to
Person to
person,
person.
but try to attempt at maximum as
maximum
possible.
maximum I will say above 90 only.
Okay, okay. So almost everything I think have been covered. So
Yes.
so almost everything has been covered. So definitely यहाँ पे इस सेशन को एंड करते हैं. So बहुत ही धन्यवाद आपका इस particular session के लिए. Definitely that will be benevolent for all the aspirants and all those who are watching and will definitely watch, because this video will be posted on the YouTube. So once again, very much and a lot of thanks to you, and wish you all the best for your future endeavors, the service, and whatever you do in the future.
Thank you, Anshul. All the best for all.